Hare Krishna. Dandar Pranam to everybody. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya on a Saturday morning. Today we have the privilege of having His Grace Muralishyam Prabhu. Today we'll just hear the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24 and verse 57. Over to you, Prabhu. Prabhu, your audio is not coming up. Yeah, now it's much.
Namo Mishrapadaya Krishna Prashnaya Mudali Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityam. Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashata Deshdar. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Guru. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Rama. Hare Krishna. I'm in office, not in a position to do Kirtan. So somebody can want to do for a few minutes, it will be nice. Otherwise, I'll read the verse.
Yes, Prabhu, we can just start with the verse. Prabhu, do you just want me to share the verse?
Yeah, I can share also.
Okay, Prabhu. I'll just make you the co-host. Just 1 minute, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, it is done.
Shana Ardena by half a moment. Api even Tulye compare na never. Swargam heavenly planets na neither. Apuna Bhavam merging into the Supreme. Bhagavad the Supreme Personality of God. Sangi associate. Sangashya one who takes advantage of association. Associating. Martyanam of the conditional. Kimuta what is there? Ashisha blessings. Shanaradena pitulya na swargam na punarbhavam bhavat sangi sangasya martyanam kim utasita. Shanardena pitulyam na swargam na punarbhavam bhavat sangi sangasya martyanam kim utasita. Somebody wants to recite the shloka?
Let me try, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
Shanardena pitulaye na swargam na punar bhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kim utasya. Anybody else who want to try?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Balaji, please go ahead.
Kshanarthena apitulaye na swargam na punarbhavam bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kim utasisah. Hare Krishna.
Please continue, Prabhu. Thank you.
If one by chance associate with the devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to attraction by the results of karma or jnana. What interest then can have he in the benediction of the demigods who are subject to the laws of birth and death? Purport. Out of 3 kinds of men, the Kamis, Jnanis, and Bhakta, the Bhakta is described herein as the most exalted. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has sung Kaivalyam Narakayate Tri Dasapur Akashya Pushpa Yate. The word Kaivalya means to merge into the effulgence of Supreme Personality of God, and the word Tri Dasapu refers to the heavenly planets where the demigods live. Thus, for a devotee, Kaivalya Shukar, merging into the existence of the Lord, is hellish because the Bhakta considered it suicidal to lose his individuality and merge into the effluence of Brahman. A Bhakta always wants to retain his individuality in order to render service to the Lord. Indeed, he considers promotion to the upper planetary system be no better than a will-o-wisp. Temporary material happiness hold no value for a devotee. The devotee is in such an exalted position that he is not interested in the actions of karma or jnana. The resultant actions of karma and jnana are so insignificant to a devotee situated on the transcendental platform that he is not in the least interested in them. Bhakti is sufficient to give the Bhakta all happiness, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yatma suprasidati, one can be fully satisfied simply by devotional service. That is a result of association with devotee. Without being blessed by a pure devotee, no one can be fully satisfied, nor can anyone understand the transcendental position of Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one by chance associates with the devotee even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to attraction by the results of karma or jnana. What interest then can he have in the benedictions of the demigods who are subject to the laws of birth and death? Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashnaya Bodhile Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityam. Namaste Saraswadevi Gauravani Pracharin Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashata Deshdara. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Guru. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Rama. Hare Krishna. This sloka is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, and there is a similar 2-3 other shlokas in Bhagavatam also. In 11th canto also a similar sloka comes, where it explains the glories of momentary association with devotee. Shana means there are few. Some people say that it is 4 minutes, some people say that it is 1 minute, or whatever it is. It is very small moment. It says Ardha, so it is even lesser than a minute. That's what is. And the devotional service is always glorified more than karma, jnana, and other processes. And Lord is always glorified more than the demigods. And we have too many stories explaining the importance of association of devotees, where even in Prabhupada Leela, there are so many Leelas where they met Prabhupada for a second, or they met some devotees for a second, and that changed the whole life. They were having some other different plans in the whole life, and suddenly they meet somebody, or they hear something from some exalted devotee, and the whole life changes. And most of the devotees who would have taken initiation, certainly there will be some moment in their life where one devotional activity changed their whole life. Maybe reading a particular book. Prabhupada Leela Amrita normally creates some impression. Some devotees, their whole life changes after initiation. Some devotees, the whole life changes after serving some devotees. Everybody loves some personal realization. It is not that we need some stories to understand that. We ourselves in the pathway of devotional service normally realizes that devotees association is very powerful. This is the first ABCD. This is A is the first. So there is no doubt about it, and there is no need to explain more about it. But I thought that I will explain something little bit different from what normally we hear. I want to explain about why we are not interested in demigods, why we are not interested in karma and jnana. So what is that? Bhakti is most important than anything else. I'm going a little scientifical. I hope you understand a little bit. If you don't understand, please stop me so that it is a little technical concept. May take some time to digest it. There is a basic difference between a matter and a soul. Soul is conscious, and matter is not conscious. For example, this mobile, it is not conscious. I'm speaking through this mobile, but this mobile is not speaking to somebody. I'm speaking through this mobile. I'm the person who is conscious. So this mobile may be matter. I'm a spirit soul. Any matter doesn't have anything on its own. It just acts on behalf of a higher body, which is soul or super soul or whatever it is. And the qualities of matter is it cannot move, it cannot think, it cannot do everything. But there is a little catch in this. For example, normally in physics, we study Newton's law of motion, where it says that a body on its own, either it will be stable, or if you push it, it will be going on pushing. It will going on moving. So on its own, this pen doesn't have a force, speed, acceleration to it. But when we throw this pen, it gains its acceleration and it moves. So this pen cannot move on its own, but the pen, if I throw, it moves. So some soul, when the pen is thrown, when the pen is thrown by some soul, this material pen acquires some motion. That's what Newton law gives the whole calculation, how much motion, acceleration, speed, weight, mass. So everything it relates, and there are so many formulas to find what it is and everything. So on its own, it cannot move. But if I make it to move, it moves. Similarly, there is a theory which is not yet proved, that normally we say, when we speak about artificial intelligence, we say that machines cannot think, machines cannot feel, machines cannot desire. So only a human being can think, desire, and everything. But there is a little opposition to this concept, because we are conscious and we have a subtle body which is even material. The subtle body consists of mind, intelligence, and ego. And unless until we leave this subtle body, we cannot get liberated. So this subtle body is made up of mind, intelligence, and ego. This mind, intelligence, and ego, it is again, even that is also material. So our mind is material. So mind is material means the thinking power of mind is also material. Mind can think, intelligence can think, mind can feel and will. Mind can feel it. Intelligence can will, think, all those things. So all these activities are also material. It is a little difficult concept to maybe to digest, but we have to understand this. Why we have to understand is, whatever knowledge we are gaining, whether it is spiritual knowledge also, we are seeing through our mind and we are seeing through our intelligence. We are not getting the knowledge as a spirit soul. Only our intelligence and mind is, material mind is receiving this knowledge. So whatever knowledge we are receiving is contaminated with karma, jnana, everything. So we want to do, if for example, somebody is so addicted to service, and there will be always a tinge of karma in it. For example, some people cannot keep quiet. They always have to do something. For them, keeping quiet and sitting and reading, chanting is impossible. For some people, to be always active is not so possible. For them, to chant and sit in a place, it comes a little easier. For them, it is not that they needed always to do some work. So somebody who is too addicted to karma, morning chanting itself, will be always planning what to do. The other side of the person who normally can think, doesn't want any other work, during chanting session, they don't think too much, and slowly they go for sleep. So some people are more karma, some people are more jnana, and it is mixed. Normally, it is mixture of both in a different ratios. So we have to understand even spiritual knowledge, what Bhagavatam we are hearing, what service we are doing, it is always contaminated. Though we may be claiming ourselves devotee, and we may claim ourselves that we are doing pure devotional service, whatever service, whatever knowledge we are gaining is through our material mind, material intelligence, and material body. So our knowledge, service, everything is highly contaminated by this material conditioning. It is not that we have understood Krishna conscious through a spiritual mind and a spiritual intelligence and a spiritual body. Whatever we understand, it is through material mind, material intelligence, and material body. So the Lord, when he speaks, it is pure spirit. And a pure devotee, when he speaks the same concept, it is pure spirit. But when we speak the same spiritual subject, same Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not as spiritual as what they exalt. Though we are repeating, we may be saying, I am a parrot, just repeating whatever it is said. But still, we cannot claim that what we are speaking is 100% spiritual. It is just like seeing this. I'm seeing, if I put a green glass, everything will look green. If I put a red glass, everything will look red. Similarly, what we are speaking, what we are acting, always we have some red or green glass. We are not doing through our spirit soul. We are doing through our contaminated mind. We are doing through our contaminated intelligence. So what is the satisfaction we are receiving after doing devotional service, or what is the intellectual satisfaction we are getting after receiving spiritual intelligence, may not be the real spiritual intelligence. It may be coming from a sattvic personality also. Because sattva guna also gets happiness Sattva Guna also gives some knowledge. That sattvic knowledge is little different from spiritual knowledge. I don't know how much I've explained and how much you have understood. So similarly, this mind is material. Just like that, if this pen doesn't have a motion, if I throw it, it acquires some motion. Similarly, the same concept can be in future, the scientists will certainly create a machine where it can think, where it can feel, where it can have emotions, and they can reproduce the mind. One day, material scientists are going to reproduce the mind, which is a material mind. But it is, for example, just like that, we throw this pen, it acquires emotion. Like that, we can create a material object. We throw it, it acquires emotion. It acquires feeling. It has some desires. And I want to do this, I don't want to do this. Normally, a question is asked: can a robot say, I will not do this work? Yeah, it may. We may create robots which may start thinking, which may have feeling, which may like somebody, which may not like somebody in a material platform. It can be injected to a robot. So this is a theory which is not yet proved, but at the end, we know from Bhagavatam that mind is material, intelligence is material, and ego is also material. So even identity can be created, me, all those things. What differs from soul and material things is a consciousness. So what is that consciousness? Spiritual consciousness is little difficult to understand from a material platform. For example, somebody wearing a red glass cannot understand what are colors unless until he removes the red glass or a green glass. Similarly, somebody who is there in pure material consciousness cannot understand pure spiritual subject unless until he has removed all the material contamination from him. The same concept Krishna will mature the more we clear the dirt in our heart. Cheto Darpanam, that's what we start. Because our heart is contaminated with so many material concepts. Until we remove all these concepts, to understand spirituality is very difficult. That's where we need the help of a devotee. Why devotee association is very, very important is because we are wearing a red glass, we are wearing a green glass. We are seeing everything through red and green glass. We are not seeing actual through our eyes. So some devotee who is not wearing red glass, green glass is required to see things properly. We underestimate the power of association. We underestimate the power of devotees' faith. We don't appreciate, we have not sufficiently appreciate how Prabhupada was so pure. Prabhupada could create so many devotees means it is because of his purity. He is not wearing red glass, he is not wearing green glass, which we are wearing. So whatever he says is not contaminated by this red and green glass. So we have to read Prabhupada books. Yesterday, I was speaking to Devamrita Swami. He is one person who got associated to ISKCON through books. In 1972, he was studying in Yale University, which is one of the IITs of India. Similarly, we have IITs in India. Similarly, those Harvard, Yale are the IITs of US. So once you get admitted, then automatically you get campus interview, you get everything. Your life is clear. No need to do anything there. Even if you sit there and fail also, you can make your life successful materially. So he was there, but he was not satisfied with this material knowledge. So he wanted to learn some Bhagavad Gita. So fortunately, he could get Prabhupada's book and he started reading Prabhupada's book. But he had a very wrong opinion about devotees, thinking that these people are crazy, wearing something. So for 8 months, he was just reading book without associating with single devotee. But he was reading daily 4 hours or 1 or 2 hours, not just like that casual reading. He took it very seriously without going to a job. Daily, he was reading Prabhupada's book 4 hours. So first thing is, by reading Prabhupada books 4 hours, you start doing some service. Automatically, you are doing service for book Bhagavata. And second thing is, by reading Prabhupada book, you are associating with Prabhupada. You are associating with Prabhupada. So 4 hours daily reading is not a small thing, that too for months together. Maybe one day, when I don't know whether you have read anybody have read 4 hours daily even once in their life. It is very tough to read 4 hours daily, and even one day to read 4 hours is not a joke. So he was doing it for 8 months. He was not a devotee. He's just a karmi. And after 8 months, after reading Prabhupada's book, he got convinced that this is the right philosophy, this is everything. Then he met Devi Shakti Mataji, who's in Vrindavan, and she took some $28,000 donation from him. Though he was a student having very meager money, we donated whatever he had to her, and then met devotees, and he became brahmachari in the short span of time. So it is not that we don't have a pure devotee who is going to guide us, but we can certainly associate with Prabhupada through his books. He is not having any contamination. So associating with Prabhupada is still possible by reading his books and trying to follow what he is trying to say. And second thing is, when we come to normal devotees, you know that normal devotees are not pure devotees. We have all our contamination. So whatever they say, whatever they give service, it is certainly contaminated with the red and green glass which they are bearing. But certainly, there may be little difference. For example, always when we do little service and somebody is doing more service, we can learn at least service from her. When we understand little philosophy and some devotees have understood more philosophy, we can learn philosophy from them. When we are less humble and some devotees more humble, we can learn little, at least that aspect from him. Maybe other aspects he has red and green glass, but this aspect he is not having red and green glass. So though other devotees are not pure and they may be contaminated, still there is always, we are so low and we can learn something from every devotee. There will be some quality. That's why Krishna has chosen them. Somebody is chanting means certainly they have done so much pious punya in previous birth. That's why they are able to chant. We can learn something from every devotee. And we need many devotees. We can associate too many devotees so that we can learn from every devotee and associate it with such a devotee that we just learn them but don't. We maintain some respect and distance with each devotee so that we only learn but never offend a devotee, never think bad about a devotee. Some distance can be maintained if you are not able to appreciate that devotee. And then go to the next devotee to learn something. So always we have to search devotees and we have to discuss with devotees in a friendly relationship in an equal level to learn from them. But at the end of the day, we are all contaminated. Our eyes have red, green glasses. And Prabhupada is a pure devotee who doesn't have it. And still now, even now, we can associate with Prabhupada by reading his books. So, Hare Krishna. I want to stop here, take some questions, and explain more if there is more interest about this concept of even how a machine can think, all those things. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranam, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I have one question. Thanks for the wonderful explanation. How ahaituki, nobody is ahaituki. Everybody has some hetu. So very nicely explained, Prabhu. But my question is regarding that machine you were talking about, right? Machine can, but all mind and intelligence, everything is supported by consciousness, which is basically the soul. If unless one can, inject consciousness into a machine, how machines themselves can have any mind or intelligence on their own?
No. First thing is, even machines cannot have motion on its own. Can you accept that concept?
Yes, Prabhu, yes.
So if a car is moving without a driver, there are so many driverless car, or a robot is moving. Do you think that the car is moving on its own, or it is given motion by some higher body?
Yeah, definitely, they're all programmed. Correct.
Similarly, we can program some mechanics to think, feel well. It is a theory, not proved in scientifically.
But when it comes to feelings, it will be consciousness based, right?
That's where the difference is. We think that the emotions, feeling happy about Krishna consciousness, we think that we are spiritually feeling. No. And our emotions, for example, we like to do something. All our emotions are material. In this material world, all the emotions we are getting, even we like to see the devotees, deities, for example, we see the deities nicely decorated, and then we feel very nice about it. All our emotions are material. It is not spiritual emotions.
Oh, I got it, Prabhu. You are talking, I understood what level you are talking. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. That's, yeah.
Sorry for confusing
No,
it.
everything is not spiritual completely. That's what you're pointing out, right?
Yeah, whatever emotions we are getting in devotional services, good or bad, or all are material. We are too material even in our devotional activities.
Okay, got it, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
What we got, we feel, oh, I have understood Krishna consciousness. It is not even spiritual intelligence. It is sattvic material intelligence. Oh, it is a waste of time. There is something better. That doesn't mean that we have attained spiritual knowledge. Even a Sattva-guna person can attain that knowledge.
Prabhu, is that the reason earlier they used to say even the mountains, they all had some, life, they could speak, and so they had some chetana. Can we say that?
Even mountains, they are living entities. When they're living, there were mountains who are personalities. That is different from mountain being a material. I'm not saying that mountains can become a soul.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Next.
Somebody else, because it is a little very easy concept, but little subtle to understand.
Yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. It was again little hard to understand certain aspect of it. So I just wanted to ask you, when you talked about everything here is material, it's fully understandable. But at the same time, how do we understand that there could be times, I mean, when you associate with devotees and everything, you could have a glimpse of the transcendental feeling. Is it possible or not even possible you're seeing in the material world?
It is possible, but we should be always careful thinking that whatever emotions we are getting may be material. So we should not assume that it may be spiritual. Better on a negative side than a positive side.
Okay, Prabhu.
Saraswati Mata.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thanks for the wonderful explanation. Prabhuji, I'm thinking now, what is the significance of this understanding, Prabhuji? So I understood now that whatever I am feeling and doing is material. So what further I have to do, Prabhuji?
And it is making us humble, that's all. This knowledge is making us humble and making us to realize that we are nobody, and we have not understood devotion also properly, and we are not doing chanting properly. Everything is in a maybe in a Sattva-guna platform little bit.
Okay, that I have understood, Prabhuji. I am not satisfied.
Sorry?
So further, what do we have to do, Prabhuji?
We have to be careful, and we have to try to serve devotees, try to learn knowledge without even speculating. We have to try to learn knowledge from devotee and serve devotee.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
So Prabhu, when we say that everything here is material, I understand from a humility standpoint it's very good. But when we are seeing it with reference to others, should we not see that they are much more qualified and they have maybe showing? Because if I take a view that it is all material only, then I will say everything is material for everybody. Then I may start committing more offenses, Prabhu?
But we have to be practical also. It is not that we don't commit offense. We always commit offense. After first 2 years, it is nice to say that devotees are great, no need to see faults and everything. But after associating 10 years and everything, we cannot be so naive that no, I'm seeing every devotee in a great. No, we cannot pretend to be that. We have seen his negative qualities also. And from a material perspective, we know that this person is angry, this person is envious, this person is diplomatic. We see it. So after 10-15 years in Krishna consciousness, we cannot be childish. We have to be mature and still respect. Am I right, or maybe you want to differ?
Yes, Prabhu. No, Prabhu. I fully agree that there is. It is not like we are totally transcendental or spiritual. Absolutely not. That feeling is not. It's fully understandable. But what I'm trying to say is that we are only material. To take that even for others, then it will put me in a very different foot to say you are anyway the same as something else. I know it will become very. For me, when it put to myself, it may be very humble. But when I'm seeing somebody else, then it will change the entire map. My approach to others would become very different.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. You gave us nice interpretation. I think I agree with your interpretation.
Okay.
So the whole concept of why we have to associate with devotees is the basics of this concept. Basics is we cannot understand Krishna consciousness by reading books or speculating or by doing devotion service without the mercy of devotee. As all our austerity, whatever we read, whatever we chant, whatever we fast, all mostly done in material platform. Not because that we have become spiritual and that we are doing it.
True, but is it also not the fact that if I'm doing it to follow the instruction of my spiritual master or a devotee, that makes it at least better than for my own pleasure, which I'm doing it. I'm trying to follow the instruction, following, being subordinated to, a guru.
Follow, and we have to hanker for some more instruction, just not follow and sit and
Yes, I agree. Fully agree with you. Yes, I mean, this is not like we can become complacent with that, with small developments. Yeah, it should keep growing, but I'm just saying, by thinking that way, following a guru, it's fine, Mahaprabhu.
Yes. As of now, I'm following and eagerly waiting for some more instructions.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavatanam.
Yes.
Prabhu, you started with why are we not interested in demigod worship? But because many people ask that question, we will not have, I don't know whether we answer properly.
Because demigods are also in the same platform of material world, and they are having material mind, they are not liberated, still in the material world. So what is the use in taking, surrendering them or serving them? That's the whole concept. Is this okay, Mataji?
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
I think this whole concept is we have to understand what is subtle body. If you understand this concept of subtle body, then many things becomes very clear. Because this whole concept of subtle body, gross body, we clearly understand only in Krishna consciousness. The difference between Christianity and Hinduism is about this concept called subtle body. They don't have this concept of subtle body. They have body and soul. A little bit it is there in Christianity about body and soul. And there is little bit about next birth and everything. But why we get repeated births? What is that we have to purify? That is there only in even in Krishna consciousness. The difference between Krishna consciousness and other religion is only this subtle body. At our mind, intelligence, ego, emotions, all are contaminated. We are purifying it. Once we leave the subtle body, we get liberated. This small concept, if we can explain, that's where we differ with every other religion. That is the beauty of Hinduism. And normally none of the sadhus teach that.
Yes, Prabhu, I agree with that.
So this basic, even Krishna conscious devotees doesn't understand this few basic concepts. It's just very subtle and easy.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, I have one more. I want to just clarify one part. When you took a wonderful example of a devotee from Yale University and then reading Srila Prabhupada's book, you said reading Prabhupada's book associated with Prabhupada is absolutely yes. But if people take a view that let me read the books and not physically associate with devotees, how do you see that as a point? Because how critical is that also? Though, I mean, they could use the same thing of it's all material contamination, so I may be better off.
If you read Prabhupada books, then Prabhupada says that associate with devotees, serve my devotees, so much instruction is there. That means they are reading but not following Prabhupada instruction. That's all, as simple as it is.
Okay, so the question is read and follow and go with the same,
If you are reading, then you have to just follow.
Okay.
You are reading to follow, not just reading alone.
I agree with you.
So there is this slide, sorry, the slide is in Tamil, I don't know. So this is a concept which I explain normally. This is our brown is our subtle body, as a gross body. A green is our subtle body. This yellow is our soul. When we die, we give up this subtle gross body, and that is taken and burnt or do whatever it is done. But we go to the next birth with this green body, which is mind, intelligence, and ego. So this green body always is going with us for every birth. So liberation means getting out of this green body. So dying out of this green body is called liberation. It's a very simple concept, but not normally understood so easily.
So to just put it, Prabhu, yeah, this is a very simple depiction also. I mean, easy to understand part of it. You're saying that so long as we are associated with this physical body which we have right now, that's the first step. And then it's going to be only this. It's very, very gross. The subtle is going to come with you no matter which body you take subsequently as well.
Yes.
And when you totally come out of all this, the subtle thing as well is when you get your spiritual body.
Liberation, even
Yeah,
for
liberation.
even when you want to go to Brahma Jyoti and merge with that, when that also we have to leave this subtle body.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
So that is the difference between liberation and going to Swarga. So all other religions speaks about going to Swarga Loka, which is Demigod Sloka, but doesn't teach about what is mean by liberation. So what exactly means by liberation is not discussed in other religion clearly.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, if I mean, as you said, it's a very tough topic to understand. When we leave this world, the gross body is destroyed here. Mind, intelligence, ego, will it go with us?
Yes, it is just like as simple as I'm giving a class from a laptop. If this laptop breaks for some reason, I take all this, whatever I'm having soft things, I go and put it in another laptop and just start using it. So you can subtle body, you can assume it is as a software, and gross body as a external. This in Mac means it is the aluminum case and everything. The hardware part is gross body and software part is subtle body. So we are trying to clean. We have so much viruses and the software has so many nonsense. So I'm trying to clean in this birth, next birth also clean, so that it becomes zero and it is purely spiritual. It's a gradual process, not a sudden, one day we suddenly see as a liberator. No, slowly, gradually it happens. And it is not that we don't have a mind, we don't have a body, we don't have a, in spiritual world. Spiritual also we have it, but it is soul's mind, soul's. Our soul on its own has all these qualities.
And Prabhu, can you also, I know Mataji was asking you this question of demigods, how they come into this picture, because we see that, demigod like Shiva is in a very different platform, not like the normal Jiva. So to just clarify that in this concept, I mean, it will be easier.
There is a difference between demigods have this subtle body.
Yes.
They have a subtle body and they have two Atmas. They are Jivatma and Paramatma is there. Only Vishnu, all Vishnu forms has only Paramatma. Maybe there is the energy, how much energy is there, that may be different. For example, in some avatars, there may be less energy. And Krishna is a supreme personality where all the emotions are given. Even there are some avatars like Hayagriva or whatever it is, all those qualities are not there. Like that, there are different variation in the potency exhibited. But at the end of the day, they are all Paramatma. So where comes Shiva comes? Shiva doesn't have a Jivatma like us. Even Brahma, Indra, everybody has separate Jivatma and Paramatma. But Lord Shiva comes in between. He is neither Paramatma completely full, nor he is a Jivatma and Paramatma separate. He is in between. So that's why Lord Shiva is greater than. And Shiva has different expansion. He has a material expansion, as so many Rudras in this material world. And he has a material planet here. And there is a Sada Shiva who is having a Sada Shiva Loka, which is beyond this material world. And that is the we can say lower part of the spiritual world.
Okay, Prabhu. And people generally refer to that. This is referred to as the Kailash. So Kailasha when they say. So is it the spiritual place which is the Kailasha as we enter the spiritual world?
In Vaikuntha also, Lord Brahma goes and prays to Supreme Personality and he recites Purusha Shukta. He takes all the demigods. You can see from the photo of Krishna book. No? Krishna book, the first chapter speaks about Brahma taking all the demigods to Krishna and then he prays for them. And he goes to milk ocean. So where is that milk ocean? Is it there in spiritual world or material world? And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that it is in material world. In material world, there is a one milk ocean where the Lord, it is like for example, this police station, they have their outpost in the end of the city. Like that, spiritual world's outpost is here in material world. Similarly, Lord Shiva also has so many, there may be spiritual Kailasa, material Kailasa, so many things may happen.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, you have confirmed it will take many lifetimes to, to perfect oneself, right? But now the thing is how to make sure, there will be association continuing in coming lives. What is the guarantee and how do you know?
We are just worried about what we are going to do for Krishna. What Krishna will give back to me, normally we should not be too much worried about it. When we are doing perfectly, Lord will take care of it. This is one way of answering. We should be not too worried about what will happen to me in next life. Instead of that, what shall I do at least in this life? Bhakticharya Maharaj says always one instruction. He told, Prabhupada told me, at least this one life give for me. This one life give for me. So that made Bhakticharya Maharaj to immediately, he was in such a so-called very high material position, gave up everything and associate with this devotees. That time he could see that these devotees were very immature. But still, just because one word Prabhupada said, at least this one life give to me.
Then what about Grahasthas, Prabhu?
As a Grahastha, there are advantages and disadvantages, both.
Okay.
There is plenty of advantage. For example, as a brahmachari, we have disturbance. We have even a small fall down is very offensive. It is to have something. Grahasthas, so we have so much protection that we are not fallen down. And for example, as a brahmachari, you can live. There is a beauty of living alone, and you don't have to eat from the same cook. So much freedom is there, but that freedom gives so much nonsense also to do. There is always, with a wife, you have somebody who is going to see your faults and tell immediately in front of your face every time. So there are advantages also.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
So I think I have taken too much time. Is it okay?
I think it was an eye-opener class, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Sorry for not taking the class. It was actual class about stories of associating devotees. There are so many wonderful stories for that, but I thought not to touch it. Maybe somebody can take that. There are wonderful, inspiring stories about how even a momentary association of devotees can take you to so many places.
Yes, Prabhu. I think you made the class very interactive by opening up certain things. I think it at least it clarified many of the normal questions or doubts which keep coming in our minds. So I think that was also very important, because as we make progress, or as we endeavor to do better in our devotional service, this is very important to at least know. Yes, very nice, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments, reflections? We got a few more. Anybody wants to share something?
Thank you. Thank you.
Nothing more. Thank you again, Prabhu, for your association this morning and making it very interactive. We look forward to getting an association also very soon. And we'll just do a Vaishnava Pranam before we end the class now. It's the session now. Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripasindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishvanebhyo Anantakoti Vaishnava Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam Srila Prabhupada Nityam Gosipana Pranam Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. I'll just end the session now. Dhanavats. Tomorrow we'll have a class at 8:30 a.m. from temple. Hare Krishna.